I mean, some of us, the pioneers in sex reassignments, when we underwent that many, many decades ago, we forgot that we were men. I tried to become a man all my life. I couldn't. I literally couldn't. It is not a choice. We were born like this. There's a medical procedure to go through. There is female hormones every transgender takes, which actually feminize every single cell of their body. So even the biology eventually changed. I'll give you one example for your information. I had an intimate relationship with a medical doctor in my youth who never realized I was transgender female. And that's to give you an example. So how you expect me and people like me to go into some male changing room? And I mean, this is a ridiculous, really.
Maya, let me get you to answer that.
I'm not for words. Very often I'm not.
Samantha, let Maya answer your point.
So a gender recognition certificate, in order for somebody to get one, they don't have to have surgery, they don't have to take hormones. All they need to have is a diagnosis, and you can get a diagnosis now for a few £100s on the internet. So, and obviously people who are running public services or people who are using services, for example, if a woman wants a female doctor, she should be able to have a female doctor. And if a man wishes he was a woman and wants to be in that situation, the woman can't ask what surgery have you had and doesn't want to know. You know, the last thing we want to do is talk about somebody's intimate details. So unfortunately, when you have rules, they have to be clear.
Samantha, let me just ask you, after today's ruling, will you continue to call yourself a trans woman or a woman?
I'm not a trans woman, I'm a woman. As simple as that. We don't have a hierarchy of women. All women are equal, and really this is an issue where it is just really by some, with respect, either hate group or somebody trying to actually incite hatred. Because
Maya, let me just put that back to Maya. Do you accept and respect Samantha's definition of herself there?
People can use whatever words they like to describe themselves. Some people call themselves non-binary. But the point is, when you're interacting with other people, with the state, as an employer, as a service provider, or sharing spaces, then the fact that Samantha wants to call himself a woman or non-binary or any of 56 genders is something I can respect as a form of self-expression, but not as a reason to come into a women's space or play in a women's sport, or be in a women's rape crisis centre.
Well, you just referred to Samantha as a man there. Do you not accept that what Lord Hodge said today is that trans people are still protected from discrimination and harassment under the Equality Act, and therefore you describing Samantha as a man there could be viewed as discriminatory or harassing?
No, it's not. What Lord Hodge said was the Equality Act protects trans people from harassment and discrimination. So that means things like you shouldn't be fired at work, you shouldn't be paid less than another person, you shouldn't be refused a booking at a restaurant or refused to be able to rent a flat, for example. But it doesn't mean that other people have to pretend that you are the sex that you're not, or to refer to you in the way that you want to be referred to as.
Let me get a response from Samantha to that. Samantha.
What is the danger of this group that is really mostly marginalized and mostly frightened and so on the general public or indeed women? I mean, what is the fear here from me and other people like me? What's so frightening about that?
I mean, I haven't talked about fear, but I mean, for example, men do the majority of crime, the majority of violent crime, 98% of sex crimes, and that's one of the reasons why we have single-sex spaces and services, why we have men's prisons and women's prisons. It's to protect women. And men who identify as transgender, who identify as trans women, are a vulnerable group. They're a vulnerable group of men, and they can be kept safe in men's prisons, for example.
Right, Maya, Maya Forstater, I know many people would disagree with what you've just said, but thank you very much. And to Samantha Kane as well. Thank you both very much for coming on the programme.